Yes, we are. Welcome, everybody, to Adrift in Aldhalor, our weekly actual play D&D show set in our homebrew world of Aridun. Our music is licensed through musicbed.com, and we use Bardly, bardly.io, I remembered it this week, to distribute it amongst ourselves. Great services for your own home games if you need music. But yeah. All right, so Shannon.
Yes, that's me.
Tell us a little bit about our partners.
Okay, I'm gonna start with Arcane Spectacles because they're pretty freaking great. Enhance your TTRPG and let me try that again. Enhance your TTRPG and D&D games with Arcane Spectacles dice sets made in collaboration with Die Hard Dice. With a variety of set colors, you can elevate your gaming experience to your liking. Don't settle for ordinary dice when you can have top quality sets from Arcane Spectacles and Die Hard Dice. Roll a dice and upgrade your gaming gear today. Visit them at arcanespectacles.com. Next, Underground Oracle Publishing is a best-selling Emmy-nominated TTRPG publisher building new and exciting settings for the cipher system of every genre that you can imagine. Each setting includes everything you need to explore its unique world, including lore, species, descriptors, foci, creatures, ciphers, artifacts, and all of the rules that you need to play. For as little as $3, you can join their Patreon and help shape each of the worlds that they create. Next, we have Eddie Yorke, our beloved character artist. He is an illustrator based in the UK who makes art for games and books. To visit his portfolio and get in contact with him, visit eyorke.com. And last but certainly not least, we've got 1985 Games. They create affordable, accessible, high-quality accessories for D&D and other tabletop role-playing games. Sean uses their NPC cards that have 5 things on the back of them, which are goals, flaws, personality traits, quirks, and... God damn it.
What have you said? What have you said?
I don't know. Goals, flaws, personality, quirks.
One more.
Is this the one I always forget?
No, last week it was flaws that you forgot.
Oh. Needs?
No.
Wants?
No.
No.
All right. Goals would be wants and needs.
Yeah, I need a hint.
It's something that you keep hidden.
Secrets! Damn it. I usually get that one.
You usually do. It's flaws. It's usually the one you
flaws. One of these weeks I'm going to get all 5. It's going to happen.
I don't know.
Your confidence is inspiring. Any of these lovely these NPC cards that Sean uses are pretty fantastic, as well as all of their other accessories. So if you'd like to purchase any of it, use the code paradiceprod, PARADICE, for 10% off your entire order. If you're not already with us on Discord, come join us on Discord because we've got VODs and recaps that Sean writes for us. They're pretty great. He's about to read one real quick. No, real soon. You're about to read one. Did you write one this week?
I did.
Great. Okay. All right. You didn't have one last week, so
I did.
Okay, then it was 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks ago. There's a week recently where you didn't have one, and you did an awesome. What I was gonna say, Sean, is that you did an awesome job keeping it short. Because when you don't have a recap, you tend to just go on.
Babble.
I
haven't done that in years, literally.
Literally, that's very true. So, join us on Discord if you haven't already to get access to Sean's awesome recaps and catch up on our story. And then join us in Paradise on Bluesky, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Discord, Instagram, and TikTok. Okay, I'm done. I don't feel good.
All right. Let's jump into our nice, neat one-page recap. Alrighty. Last we left off, Iron and Mana enacted their plot to protect Winifred from Mr. Greaves while securing her as their informant. They made a big show of arriving at the harbor master's office with their badges from the Commodore's office. The ruse was to convince interested parties that Winifred had successfully bribed Iron and Mana to ignore her operation. Amidst the show, the party also secured evidence from Winifred, particularly a list of officials from the Academy working within Mr. Greaves' smuggling network and operation. She warned the party that the scroll would self-immolate after being opened and read. They departed with their new evidence and their new ally in check. They decided to bring this directly to the Commodore to collect their reward. Upon turning over the evidence to Umidori, she promptly gatekept the information until it could be reviewed. This infuriated Jacquet, who ended his part in the meeting with a prompt "fuck you" to Umidori. She turned her attention to Septimus as a more preferential leader for Iron and Mana in these discussions. She encouraged the party to return for any information she could share and for new bounties. The party also gave her information about Marcus Pappas, the gossip reporter that tailed them the previous day, and his interest in their relationship with the Commodore. She expressed disdain for the Hyven Times, specifically mentioning the owners of the Times resting easy in Halcyon while controlling the flow of information in Asia. The party received their reward, a little extra as well, for bringing Winifred in as an informant. Later that night, they gathered to help Thearn with a particular meeting arranged by the De Leon brothers. A meeting with the dealer who sold them the cursed mask. They met Sam, a rather eccentric smuggler with his 2 Elysian elf guards and a rather big wood elf bruiser. The smuggler cheekily messed with Thearn and the party, but ultimately came to an agreement with Thearn. Information in exchange for silver. They learned that Sam acquired these odd artifacts from an old scavenger near the border of the Gosu haunt named Alamaeus. The only man Sam ever heard of entering the Gosu haunt and returning with artifacts. He lives in a junkyard of all these old Gosu artifacts he's found, and only trades for his goods. He does not accept silver. This exchange ends with a future on weapons and some threats, but both parties seemed agreeable to never speak of each other again. Unless, of course, the party needs an independent smuggler not connected to Mr. Greaves. The night ended on a somber note as Thearn expressed sorrow about the mask and how it made him feel homesick. But he was only feeling what the mask yearned for, not his own desires. He pondered what this meant, and that he may need to begin making a new life, perhaps here in Asia. But the party went back to rest for the evening as the 17th morning of Anarm, the slaughtered dawn, on Anenuanir begins. So, was there anything anyone wanted to do before going to sleep, or are we good to jump right to the morning?
Can I put some stuff on my face?
Yes. I did not mention in this recap that there was a surgery also that took place.
That's a generous term for what happened.
Saskia had a mollusk in her cheek that needed removal. And Septimus and Thearn put on a great show of removing it with flyers, ice spells, all manner of things, sharpened tools, and whiskey. All to extract the cursed barnacle in her face, one could say. A little gift her patron had bestowed upon her when she was getting a little uppity. But yes, you could have gotten some salves or something, or more whiskey, to...
I was just going to say, I'll take some of that whiskey that I didn't drink all of and just kind of like splash it out there.
It burns. It's.
Yep,
I mean, actually, it doesn't burn that much.
I thought he wounded.
He did.
It was like
He
a pretty
did.
good scar.
Actually,
That's right.
Yeah, you don't really need to put
did.
much on it.
You did. So I'll put
Yeah.
a little bit on it just to stave off infection, because who knows the last time the hospital's been cleaned.
Well, if
together.
there's any infection, it
Oh, when
has been
Septimus
sealed
washed his hands.
inside when Septimus healed your face.
Hand. Sorry.
Yeah. The the side effects of healing magic people don't talk about is the serious internal infections that don't go healed. You don't. This is they say in every single healer's tent. If you don't combine your cure wounds with your lesser restoration, infections happen. But anyway, so you all wake up in your respective rooms within the Cask and Crow or the hostel to gather together for breakfast to plan out the end of the week. You've done your bounty this week. There is some payout for some research that you invested in that should be coming, as well as a discussion with Sigil about potential work. How would you all like to start your day as you all gather in the Cask and Crow over some breakfast?
Can I find something that's worth 1 copper and on my way over from the hostel, say, whatever it may be, maybe an apple or maybe a baguette,
lemon.
a lemon, just something that I can give to Kana on my arrival.
Yes, you can easily find.
Cask and Crow.
You could easily find some fruit. A
Great.
fruit stand where you can get an apple or an orange, or a lemon if you want.
I'll get a lemon because that seems to be Saskia's calling card.
Yeah,
I'll
well,
get
your
a
bag
lemon.
is still kind of smells from the old bag of lemons you had in there.
It's great. So it'll boost the smell of this lemon as I arrive, and I'm like,
Oh yeah, everyone loves the smell of
rotten lemons.
fermented lemons.
Yeah. This is to make up for coming in and dripping sand all over the place and seawater the other day. You're welcome, and I'm sorry.
A lemon?
Yeah, lemon. Could use it to what's that fucking word where you peel some of it off and put it on top of dishes, like pest or zest.
Garnish.
To use it to, huh?
Garnish?
No, that's not the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Zest, right? That's the word. Zest.
Zest of lemon. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's a
you go.
thing. Yeah, I know it's a thing.
Yeah.
I run a full kitchen.
Well,
And I
here
have
you
a
go.
basket of
Here's
these in the back.
Well, now you have one more to add to your basket. You're fucking welcome. And I give a really low bow.
You have
Go.
weird lines of what is considered appropriate in gift giving and
all right,
exchanging
well
of
then what?
money.
So then fucking enlighten me, Kana. What would have been more appropriate? What would you have liked to have seen me walk in here with? To appease...
I'd have liked to have not seen you walk in here at all.
You
bring no money to my establishment, and you make it a mess every time. And your friends seem to be getting worse the longer they hang out with you.
Kana, hungry customers over here.
What would you all like for breakfast? A lemon?
I'll have something with lemon in it, and I want you to use that specific lemon.
Oh, so it's not even a gift for me. It's just a lemon you wanted me to put in your meal.
No, I'm just kidding. It's just a joke. Do whatever you want with it. It is my gift to you.
Yeah, okay.
You know what they say, when life gives you lemons,
Use them.
Give it back.
get mad. Yeah, fuck life. Giving you a bunch of fucking lemons. What are you supposed to do with that?
I'll burn your house down with lemons.
Eggs, bacon, toast.
Yeah, oh, that works.
All right. It's 2 copper.
Oh, I
And
just
she-
spent my last copper.
I'll just pay for her. Just
Thank you.
One of these
Bruce.
Thank you,
days.
Kana.
One of these days. Okay. And she walks away.
Uh,
Uh,
Morning,
everyone. Now that we're all together.
Morning.
It is morning.
uh,
I had
So if I'm correct, we need to go to the academy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we probably should.
I still.
These eggs are
Septimus-
delicious.
Septimus is the only one that has food, and the rest of us are just like,
Guess Septimus woke up
I guess-
earlier.
Did you
that's
woke
what
up?
you get
Yeah.
for getting up early.
No, Sigil, I think all of our research should be completed now. So we're good to head there. We haven't heard anything. I guess we would have been told if there was any correspondence from the Commodore about maybe a future contract. That's probably too soon, though.
Well, didn't she say the next day?
Yeah, if it's
She
first
had
thing in the
something.
morning, we have to.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
She had to take I think taking in the names of individuals who are in league with Mr. Greaves working at the academy requires a little bit of thought on how best to proceed.
We
But
should
since
kinda
we're
do that
talking
next
about the academy, as far as our next moves is something I wanted to bring up. As far as Bruce and I have been working a little bit on kind of fashioning myself on a limb again. Got all the components. Have pretty much the whole thing built, but as far as surgically attaching it to my person, I'm gonna need a workshop. There's one that's on my homestead. I don't know if we want to go back there. I know Bruce had mentioned maybe using it as a base of operations. But if not, then I would probably see if I can access some sort of workshop that's at the academy.
I suppose I'd like to visit, catch up with Sigil, maybe go see Prina Mordock.
Right. Well, we're all going to
Well,
the
what I'm
academy.
asking is, do we want to go back to my homestead?
Oh, that boring old place. Psh, and good things.
I mean, I think it's a good idea. You got all your tools that you're comfortable with there, and from what I remember, Septimus, you've got a bunch of scrap available and
This is
resources
true.
to do this. So I think it might be worth it. Also, take a vacation from here. I mean, we've been in the stinky town for a little while.
It might be,
The only reason it's stinky because of her, Jacquet says, pointing to Saskia.
She
Well,
kinda flips you off.
We don't have to have a target on our back for a little bit. Just relax in the woods.
Doesn't that just make the targets bigger when you return?
Well, no, at least I don't think so. I feel pretty relaxed when but then when we start going to the outer business, then never mind.
what's wrong with the other business?
It's just
They
not
love
nice.
me there.
Yeah, but I
Yeah,
feel
until
like-
they figure out that you're trying to take down Mr. Greaves, then I think they might be singing a different tune.
I don't know if our, this lit Mr. Greaves guy, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe he's not so bad.
Well, I would advocate, of course, of going back. And I'd say that should be the definite move unless there's something urgent that pops up when we go to the academy as far as a new job. If there's a new prospect that would keep us in the city, I think then that is a good reason enough to stay. However, if we're not presented of anything immediately, I would prefer to return back.
I prefer to stay by the water, but I won't stand in the way if that's where everybody else wants to go.
Is your homestead, isn't it still a shithole? No offense, but as I recall, we kind of did a number on it last time we were there.
That's
Yeah,
the point,
Jack
we're
White.
gonna fix it.
Yeah, wouldn't you want a castle of your own?
Ooh.
Yeah, a castle.
Well,
We could
this-
make it a
Whatever the
castle.
fuck you call that. Again, no offense, Septimus. It has nothing to do with your personal connection to it. It's just pales in comparison to any other place I've lived or vacationed or visited or, had like a one-night stand in, so...
well, I mean, like you can make it what you want it to be, right? It's
uh,
also a plot of land, and we're gonna earn some money, right?
okay.
Where better to
Unless-
put this theoretical
Unless
castle?
you have some kind of, magnificent spell that could alter that entire space, I'm not too interested.
I'm pretty sure I could get Goboko to help out with that portion.
Septimus, for the
Okay.
love of God, eat quieter.
This breakfast is phenomenal. You're gonna really like it, Maggie.
I don't mind taking a few day visit, but last time we traveled to your farmstead, we had horses. Do you plan on borrowing more from the academy before we leave?
I mean, it doesn't necessarily need to be from the academy. There's probably a stable right outside the front knot gate of the town.
Honestly, we could probably purchase our own cart or
We've
carriage.
we've been making quite a bit of good money. I'd have no problem personally renting some steeds or some sort
Renting?
of
No. At this rate, we should purchase our own beasts of burden, make them the best in the land. Really kind of add up some marketing, maybe get something, like branded on their rears. Iron and mana. This way, anyone that sees them coming by knows, the adventurers are here.
Do you have much experience training animals?
No, that's why you buy them already trained. That's how this works. We go to a horse seller, buy some horses, and there you go.
Stable master.
Sure, whatever you want to call it.
That's what they're called.
Okay, as if you want to call them that. I like horse seller personally. Makes it much more apparent what they do. Or we can get a cart. That worked pretty well. Septimus was pretty good with that, and this way we can, carry back our immeasurable wealth and, gesturing to Sal, who's sitting by. I don't know if he's like with us at the table or just kind of hovering behind Septimus at like the end or something.
You stand at the end of the table, usually.
Yeah. He can't. Can Sal ride a horse?
I'd say probably not.
So I think a cart would be in good order.
Jacquet, do you have a piece of parchment I can borrow? Borrow, I
It's
mean,
gonna start
have.
costing you though, he says as he pulls out a parchment.
Just like that coat should probably cost you something.
Okay, I think you have earned just as much silver from my use of this trench coat. That, by the way, if anything, I own Septimus's father for, but seeing as he's not around, no offense, Septimus.
That's the
Do
third
you
time
think-
you've said that to
Yeah,
him.
do you
I think he's
saying
taken
no
offense.
offense makes it not
Yeah,
offensive?
I don't think it means what you
That's
think
not
it
how
means.
it works.
I don't know. I'm sorry basically fixes everything, right?
Well,
So,
aren't you supposed to be the eloquence man? Do you not know how words work?
okay, you know what?
Give
I don't
Septimus
like-
a high five.
I don't like whatever this is. And I mean that offensively.
There you go. At least, say it with your chest.
Bruce is going to start writing a little letter, and it's not going to be magically mailed. Don't worry, Sean. And it's just going to be a quick letter to Emile Decant, under the Commodore, saying, "Hey, what's an update on Koboko? Have you considered them? Please give me an update." Bruce, Cat the Cask and Crow. And this is definitely not because I forgot last session to do this.
Not a problem. Yes, you can have that arranged to be sent over to the Commodore's office.
I could stop by the post office on the way to the academy, too.
Yeah, absolutely. You could even just drop it off, since it's in the same neighborhood. Okay.
So we're gonna buy a cart, and then we're gonna go to the academy afterwards.
No.
Let's go to the academy first, see what Sigil has for us, and then depending on how that goes, we can purchase ourselves a nice cart, take a little vacation to Septimus's homestead, and, see about getting him his new arm.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. I'm not sure if I want to go either.
Okay.
Well, then I hope when hopefully Sigil or somebody else there has a quest ready for us and is ready to hand it right to us.
Okay. All right. So, you are all heading to the academy now. After you've finished your breakfasts.
Yep.
Yeah.
Love it. Before we switch over to that, only because I forgot to do it in the beginning, there is a small vignette for you all.
Ooh.
So, elsewhere, while you were gallivanting around Hyven for the last
course.
week,
What's the mood here? Spooky.
spooky. Cue the spooky. Ever since Septimus reported to Sigil about the monodrone, the man has spent each evening visiting the little machine. As we would see footsteps echoing in endless halls as Sigil, garbed in a crimson cloak, hood over his head that shows the mask, or one of the many masks he wears. This one with a sort of off-white color to it, with petals almost painted over it that look somewhat like a cherry blossom hanging from the top to the bottom of the mask. This one is much sleeker than his usual masks, with pronounced cheekbones on it and an almost alien-like face with no mouth, no nose, just sort of the tight, taut skin on a skull look to it. With eyes that are irregular, not the usual human eyes pocked with disease, but black sclera with red irises, but they're static. They're not eyes in the sense of his own eyes, but a part of the mask. As he carries a hooded lantern, slowly descending and ascending several steps in a library so vast that there's fog within it. The deepest guts of his library, where you've never been, and probably would never find yourself, unless, like Lucas Pascal and Monodrone, you were to spend a whole week delving deeper into its halls. But eventually, he would approach a corner of the space where there is a little bit of light from lanterns. In this corner, surrounded by towers of manuscripts, scrolls, and books, we would see Monodrone, writing in his own ledger and reading at what seems like impossible speeds, judging by the way his hand traces the lines of the texts. As Sigil would sit on a stool as if that stool has always been there, waiting for him, across from the little machine. It's quiet in this space. The only real sound is sort of the dull thrum of the halls and the magic within them, and the flickering of candles. Sigil would say to Monodrone, "How goes the long, long march?" And the little machine would kind of look up as if just noticing him, with that general look of enthusiasm that he has whenever he sees someone familiar. Long indeed, long indeed. A lot of knowledge needed for... And the machine's face looks perplexed. The porcelain's lips turning to a confused look, the eye kind of wandering. Information for Primus. Primus, of course. Incidentally, for iron and mana as well, it would seem. Incidentally. Sigil just sort of sits back and crosses his legs and folds his hands on his lap. Incidentally, you seem confused or disturbed, friend. Disturbed? No. No, purposeful. I have a job to do, oaths to fulfill, oaths to monitor, reports. Sigil doesn't really respond to this, but sort of just looks to him and cocks his head. The expressionless mask, now even more expressionless without the eyes. Though I would admit a certain sense of tension has come over me. Sense of self-preservation I've never felt, nor understand. Sigil leans forward. Something odd for your folk, your creatures. Bodron. Not meant to survive. No, we are created with not this worry, but I feel the room's getting tighter around me. Is that, in the middle of his sentence, he says, is that, he freezes. The pupil dilates tighter as that face guard comes down over the porcelain mouth with the jagged fangs. And the eye turns red, as it did in Septimus and Bruce's room. As the warm torchlight turns to that violent red. As Sigil now leans forward. Every night I've come to speak with you, friend, and now you finally show this to me. We would see the eyes of this mask fade away to reveal his usual human eyes. Perhaps affected by the presence of Lacuna's possession of Monodrone. As he leans forward again, closer, uncrossing his legs, and says to the Monodrone, I have a lot of questions for you. If what Septimus says is true, the eye then quickly looks to his face. Oh. You seem. I know you. I know you. And Sigil sits back. I suppose you may have questions for me as well, then. Zoom back out to Iron and Mana. Maybe the next day, maybe a day after, maybe several days after. Strolling about Hyven to head to the academy. Exactly like that. Holding hands? What?
I don't have an arm.
Yes.
You have two arms.
You do. You're just angled weirdly when you're walking down the road. Like you're
Mm,
kind
true.
of cornered because your back arm is holding Saskia's
Yeah.
hand.
Yeah, I'm holding onto it with one hand and playing with my tiny toy ship in the other.
Because Sass is at the end. Okay.
Yep.
So as you all walk the streets in this very adult way, you would find yourselves, of course, at the academy. As the last few times you've come here, you are not forced to be escorted around. You have sort of open movement through the grounds. You don't have to wait for anyone to bring you anywhere. So you just let them know that you're here to see Sigil, and you can head to the library. As per usual, when you get there, the doors open on their own to let you in, and you see once again, like I said to Septimus and Bruce last time, you're starting to notice every time you come here that the large stacks of books seem to be almost like they've been rearranged, where you're like, that's not the shape those bookshelves were. They've moved in some way, or this space just feels different every time you walk in, except for the one consistency, which is the tall pillar that holds the circular office of Sigil within. You can see students milling about. The place definitely looks a little more full of life when it's usually somewhat empty. One could say that it's perhaps midterms. But you can approach Sigil's office, where you would find him, as you always find him, scribbling his notes at his desk, looking through his own books and texts. You can see, though, joining him in here is Lucas, who is sort of gotten himself a little desk inside of Sigil's office. Certainly looks like someone like dragged one of those like school desks that has the very small area for you to write on that you can literally pull up and down. And he's just sort of like in the corner of this cornerless office, just scribbling away his own notes. He does have stacks of books and some notes, some shorthanded notes that he's prepared. As you would see Sigil waiting there as well. So, who would like to enter first?
I would. No, I can't.
Fear knocks loudly on the door.
Bang, bang, bang. Lucas hurriedly stands up to go answer the door as the door opens itself, as the doors here tend to do. As he goes, oh.
Pardon us.
Iron Manna, good to see you. This has been, what a week.
Thought you were
Well,
enjoying
good.
yourself.
Hopefully, good news about some discoveries you've made.
Certainly. And he looks back to Sigil, who just gives him kind of a nod. Yes, I've been working. I met your little friend a few times. The little machine. Who has also done some work. What was my take on the little machine?
Of the creature. Just curious to know how other people think of him.
Well, I would certainly say he's excitable, a little awkward, doesn't fully understand. I suppose social decorum. Wandered off a few
pain in
times.
the ass. Yeah.
I didn't want to say it, but he is a little bit of a pain in the ass. Very distracting, actually. Pulled me away several times from the actual research for little things that he became obsessed with. But generally a good research partner if you can keep him focused. Certainly a peculiar creature. The machina nature, but extraplanar. It's strange. We have pictures in our minds of what extraplanar beings are like, and very few times do I imagine ceramic lips.
Join the club, buddy.
But no, we've done quite a bit of research. But where would you like to begin?
Well, do you think Sigil should be involved?
Mr. Sigil, and Sigil just sort of like looks up from his own notes, having let Lucas kind of completely take the lead in talking with you. If you wish to speak more privately, you may. But
No, I misunderstood. I thought you were further away from the conversation.
No, I've been here the whole time. I just didn't speak. Well, anyway, so I believe we wish to do some research into if there's any arcanum or arcana of the Modron or their realms. I also did I hope you this was okay, but I did question the Modron, the monodrone, a little bit about it as well. We also have some research into sea creatures of Fey origin, which we found not a lot, but some information for.
Wonderful. I'll take anything you got.
And then Fearn, he looks to you and is about to say what he's researching for you, but then he goes, and that's all. That's all we got. But
Jacques
anyway.
looks between Lucas and Fear and goes, Sure. Sorry, do you have this all like written down in like a nice, neat, like document that we can just peruse at our leisure, or?
Oh, I'm finishing the summary now, and I can provide that to you, certainly.
Okay.
But just to give you a quick, sort of short overview of what we found.
Okay.
If you wish, or I could just give you the document and you can look at it later.
No, you can do your thing. I'm sure you've been rehearsing for us. As Jacques goes to lazily sit down, like on, is there like a little couch or something?
Yeah. There's a little like almost like a therapist's bed.
Yeah. Yeah. So Jacques goes to lounge there as he's clearly not too interested.
So, yes, what I prepared. Lucas very nervously kind of buttons his suit jacket, and he clearly has just this very cheap suit that he put on for his big week at the academy. Lawful neutral. Chaotic neutral. True neutral. Is a spectrum I'm working on. As a theory of the world, planes, I guess. As opposed to good and evil of the same variety. What does it mean? I'll just rush to it. I'll just skip the introduction. What it seems, through questioning the Modron and talking with Mr. Sigil, is that there's a dynamic, a celestial dynamic that I had not considered before our discussions, where we spoke of angels. The usual celestials in my new concept of spectrums would be lawful, good, upholding of the law and innocence and justice and whatnot. Its own rigidity. Think of my brother and the way he broke his paladin oath would be a breaking of his lawful good agreement with the road or the hedge. I don't know exactly the details of it. But I had considered the concept of something purely driven by order, with no good or evil necessarily behind its motivations. As you remarked it from Monodrone, an auditor of sorts of the cosmic structures that this great march is a part of. The text there's not a lot of, but I did unearth some arcana about this. A concept known amongst some of the oldest texts we have from a higher time of study. We all understand gods or whatnot, what a god is, but there's supposedly something a bit above a god. that the text is only referred to as ordning spirits. And I believe this Primus, who the monodrone works for, is an ordning spirit, not necessarily a god, but something a bit more tied to cosmic theory, celestial mechanics, if you will. And from every record I could find, there's been no mention of a Modron march. There have been mentions of theoretical creatures that line up rather well with Modron, especially after speaking with Monodron. It seems as though this is the first one. I think you may have already known that, but something about a certain amount of years within Mechanus, their plane of existence, that has led them to begin their march. Though it seems as though it has been initiated early. And that I have many theories that I've talked to Mr. Sigil about that could lead to why this is happening. We all understand that there's been some chaotic upheavals from the elements in the last year. I have a theory that the elements themselves might be a form of this neutral spectrum. Since no one really quite looks at the elements as having a firm moral direction that they go in, they sort of are. They just rampage or soothe or just are a big rock hanging out in the ground. They might be on the other side of things with that chaotic energy. So perhaps the upheaval has drawn the focus of these Modron. It would line up with the study that Professor Nettle was doing over the last year since the Great Storm.
So does that mean that these Modron or this Primus is an opposing force to the elements?
I wouldn't say opposing. I understand that it is a flaw in my system, is that these dichotomies create a false pretense that these things are always opposites or even in opposition to each other. They operate independently. They might not even necessarily interact unless a situation arises where there's an imbalance. Which is what I theorize may be happening here. This is, I must say, a hypothesis. This is not, there's very little to go off of here from the texts, other than some of these theories of celestial mechanics. Now, your question of whether or not this is dangerous, it seems as though if you don't get in the way of the march, if you don't try to stop it or prevent it or incur something upon it, it is relatively harmless. At least that's what it seems like from talking with Monodrone. They really do seem just curious for knowledge. I did happen to ask the creature about what you've shared with me regarding my brother. It's interesting. He may be annoying at times, but his presence does have a way of leeching stories from you or getting you to speak and tell him things. But it appears that perhaps this angel that you all discovered was the murderer of my brother might have something to do with the Modron. He referred to it as a Marut. A Marut was the term he used. And they are specifically a type of Modron that deals with oath breaking. But the curious thing that I don't have an answer for is that this is not just any oath. You know, if you promise over breakfast to, take someone out for tea in the afternoon, and you break your promise, Marut is not going to come out of nowhere and smash your skull in. There's a particular oath stone that needs to be created, which I believe is the golden tablet that you all recovered. that only if an oath is made over this stone will it incur the wrath of a Marut if you break bond, break oath.
Interesting. I guess I could explain the magical nature of when we reassembled the tablets of just falling apart and breaking again.
And given that my brother is incapable of fulfilling his oath now that he's dead, I think it will never allow itself to be repaired.
Could someone else take up his oath?
That is an interesting question.
Thank you, I know. That's why I asked it.
I believe it would, whatever ritual was used to create the Oathstone, perhaps someone could utilize that same ritual to take up another's fallen oath, to redeem them, if you wish to call it that, or help them if they're incapable of completing their oath. Similar to the stories about devils, it seems as though these Modron, if there's something written into the stone of these oaths, they will abide by it. So I imagine that is very possible.
But the creation of this tablet, your brother would have had to make a deal with the Marot itself, or just another Modron.
So from what Monodrone has told me, and he kind of stopped talking about it after this, I think I pushed too far, but essentially the ritual creates the Oathstone, and once the Oathstone is created, it vanishes and is embedded in the Maruts, and then the Maruts' only purpose from that point forward is ensuring that that oath is fulfilled. And I suppose it's capable of arriving once it's been broken in a way that is, I suppose, in the Modron's perspective, final. Like when my brother betrayed, or I assume betrayed, whoever it was he made an oath with.
So then after delivering punishment, does the Marot cease to exist as well? Now that its duty was fulfilled.
That I'm unsure of. That is the limits of my knowledge. If the Marut is anything like the Monodrone, they are not exactly built to survive and live out a life. They are just replaced upon their destruction, or sent back to Mechanus to be repurposed, I suppose. Again, a lot of this is just theories based on the little reading and interviewing I could find.
No, but this is very insightful.
So, under your professional opinion, do you think that there's any... Do you think that there's any danger still lingering in Hyven from this Marut?
I suppose the danger is personal. If you are going about performing rituals you don't fully understand, like my brother did. Unless the thing I don't know is how he found this ritual. Or if it was the other party who found it, and my brother, I believe, would think was a joke. A way to take advantage of the poor soul.
This is probably a very stupid question, and I'm sure you've been asked it already, but you don't know the nature of the oath, do you? What's your brother promised or made an oath about?
I don't. I believe. All I know is he made an oath, as he would as a hedge paladin, to help someone on the road. I believe you all spoke to some people who knew the other individual, something about family. So I'm not sure. But this is what I was able to find on Modron from the deeper parts of the library and interviewing Monodrone.
Well, all very interesting. Thank you. for uncovering that.
If we'd want to learn more about the oath Hugo took, and the man he killed was named Martin, by the way, lest us not forget his sacrifice. There was that individual you said that he had originally taken the oath from. They had met in Edger City, you said?
The oath, his paladin oath.
Correct, yes.
Yes, that is correct, but I believe that is separate from this oath. This oath was a personal one between him and Martin, I believe.
Oh, okay, I see. So then,
There was a woman that knew them both at the Church of Roe, I believe. She worked
The
there. We
Revelry
weren't
of
able to speak to her. The Revelry of Roe.
yes, Elisa, the barkeep. We could, I guess, see if she knows anything more, now that we have this information about the Oath Stone.
I mean, it might also be prudent just to keep an eye out for other hedge paladins that we come across on our journeys. Not necessarily that they take up the same oath, but we could find out.
Alrighty. Well, moving on.
Yeah, did you find?
Okay.
Yeah. Were you able to find any more information about Modron in regards to its possession?
That I was not
And-
able to find much, other than some texts that were less about Modron and more about Machina. Some old studies from the beginning of the resettlement of the Aldhalor Islands, and the resettling of some of the lands where wild Machina roamed. There were reports of them seeming to be, in most situations, wild like an animal, but in others, they seemed to have some will, or less of a will and more of a protocol, one might say. People would write reports of them patrolling, no reasonable post to guard, or occasionally speaking out of nowhere in tongues that no one could understand. So there's less about the Modron in that particular engagement or a figure known as Lacuna, but Machina in general seem to have a uncertain will to them. They don't always ascribe to the savagery of nature or a master guiding their thoughts, or their own individual will. Can vary from reports.
Nothing came up on the name Lacuna.
Other than the typical academic use of the term as a missing knowledge, there was no figure in any of the texts. It was hard enough to find anything that even mentioned the concept of Primus. These are wholly new entities to the world for the most part. Everything about them is theoretical, and they just are confirming the theories, somewhat.
While Lucas has been explaining all of this,
Mm-hmm.
Stiggle's in the background,
Yes.
just chilling, right?
Mhm.
I think Jacquet, in between listening to Lucas, would be eyeing him up. I know that Saskia had been like, oh, he seems okay. Jacquet still don't trust this guy. So I think Jacquet would be kind of keeping an eye on Sigil and looking for any kind of like signs, that he like shifts in his chair at the mention of something, especially now that he's been talking about Lacuna specifically.
Mm-hmm. Give me an insight check.
Sure. That's a 26.
Okay. Um, so you would see with the 26, you would definitely get a few hints in there. Sigil is, as you have noted before, perhaps when he wants to be, is incredibly difficult to read. And in other moments, perhaps because he wants to be, seems like just sort of a stodgy old guy who doesn't like socializing. But you would notice there are moments when you would hear the quill stop writing and his eyes lift up from the paper, or where he even seemed to lean in a little bit. Particularly at any point that you all ask a question, he leans forward and listens, as if he already knows all the other information or has already heard it. His interest is more in you than the knowledge.
Gotcha.
Where is Monodrone?
Hopefully dead. Sorry, just...
And you see, he does get nervous at the mention of Monodrone, and then looks over to Sigil. And as you all look over to Sigil, he would sort of put his quill down and sit back and look to you all and just say, "The creature has left. He vanished very recently. It was
How long ago?
demonstrated. Well, when we awoke this morning to arrive at the library, he was not to be found. I will say the creature had been remarking quite oddly, given its nature, about its life. It seemed afraid of dying.
Of dying.
That's strange. Septimus, didn't you say that it seemed to almost welcome death before, when you had questioned it about its, the whole turning red eye thing and all that jazz?
It did mention that I guess I had the power to end its life because I had broken an oath. These oaths are clearly important to the monodrone. Something about that, of breaking an oath. But it did seem like it was not fazed with dying. As it had mentioned before, death was just essentially a cycle for it. It would be repurposed back in...
Is this still about it not reporting stupid updates to
Yes,
Equette?
it was just a silly little thing, but nonetheless, it was surprising at the severity of such a menial oath that, of course, I didn't take them seriously myself.
Well, given Lucas's research, self-preservation does not seem to be a typical attribute of these creatures. Whatever its experience has been, I believe, has shifted its perspective.
Well, just put our minds at ease for now, because we were unsure of what to do with it. Did it turn at all under your watch? Did you get to see at all?
I saw nothing of the sort. I sat with the creature some nights to see about your reporting. Mostly it spoke of its research and mourned, it seemed, pined about its purpose. Every day it seemed more confused. A brutal tonic to learn of your place in the universe as a cog.
I can sympathize with that. I guess the last thing I have to wonder is, do you somewhat concur with what Lucas had said? Are they harmless? Modrons. Excuse luck, whatever entity possessed it, but Modrons themselves.
I find
Whatever this long march is it something that's going to be due within the near future, or is that something that is completely cannot even comprehend?
an individual monodrone is hardly a threat to anyone. They are simple machines with simple purposes. This one seemed unique. I don't imagine future encounters with monodrones will be deadly. But given a large enough march, if there are things in their way, I do believe they could prove deadly. And if this lacuna is something wrong with their march, I would fear their correction of such a thing could bring others in danger. If it were to happen here, as we've read in the past, when cosmic entities choose our world as a staging ground for their spouts.
With that last bit that he says, Septimus just kind of like nods, and with somewhat satisfaction at this moment. Not real satisfaction, but like he's done asking questions, and he'll move kind of to the side and pull up a chair and just kind of sit and just kind of just ponder to himself and just think. And let progress on the rest of the information that other party members may want to know.
Sigil, I understand that monodrone is I appreciate that you've done this effort for us and researched and everything. And I know the monodrone was a pretty slippery one, but how do you even know that he's left? If he has the ability to disappear and reappear randomly. What if he's listening to us right now?
I respect your concerns, Ian, but very little occurs within these halls that I am not aware of.
If that's the case, then which direction did he escape from? Do you know where he was going?
I do not know where he was going. If anything, it seemed as though he just wanted to continue his work. As you said, he can pop in and out. And he popped out. And has not popped back in. If he does, I'll alert you.
If he does, what will you do to make him stay? Unless that is not your intention here.
I suppose a creature like this, you need to give them a complex puzzle for them to solve. They'll stay in one place if they have something to work on. In any case, like I told you when you originally left him here, I did not intend to hold him prisoner.
There's still many questions. I suppose that'll have to do for now.
Yes, but there will always be questions. I believe Lucas has some more information for your friend.
Right.
Yes.
Sea Witch?
Aye, that's me. Yes.
Fae, aquatic fae of sorts.
Aye.
So there's some general things I found, which were easy enough just to look in a compendium of fae creatures.
You can skip the fanciness of it. Just tell me the information. That's fine.
I'm being pretty straightforward with this one, I think.
Okay.
But I'll get to the point. The most obvious answer is a sea hag of sorts. Some kind of witch. Creature of the unseelie fae. That calls the sea their home. That is what a lot of your description points to. Varying degrees of power with that. You have ancient sea hags who might be from a court in the Feywild that have accumulated power. You can have fairly young sea hags who might be a bit more aggressive with their seeking of power. Of course, we all know of the histories of the Feywild with the pallid rot that poisoned it. So any of these sea hags may be infected in some way with that rotten power. That can be very dangerous, manipulative. Of course, we can't discount, though, that this is something different entirely. Yes, a sea hag is the most objectively probable answer. There are other folklores, particularly of the Aldhalor Islands, that don't exactly match up with your experience, but things change. Entities evolve. There's stories of magic gemstones that give power over the seas to whoever wields them. A powerful enough entity of the Fae may have one of these gems and use that to control and to barter patrons of the warlock nature. There's Aldhalian folklore of there's a personification of luck that is said to be an entity amongst the seas of Aldhal. Lady Una, the Aldhalian luck, is said to be an entity, a physical entity that is wanting to help and not help people. Those who, my favorite story is the way of those who seek out luck or pray for luck often receive the opposite from her. She enjoys putting ire upon those who see themselves as lucky. At least according to the stories I found. And these are folklore, so they're somewhat stories for children, but like many of our customs, those are based in some reality.
Was there anything about names? Did you find anything about names?
Well, this is a classic trope of the Feywild. That I've read even before doing this research for you, and that they enjoy stealing names. They say that those who make deals with the Fae that impart their name is also imparting control and domination. Once they have your true name and you no longer have it, they control you. There's similar theories within onomancy for devils and demons. They have true names. Some onomancers believe that all beings have a true name. Some believe that true name is formed by
Not
your
this
own.
junk again.
I too at one point thought onomancy was junk science, but there is some quite convincing literature on it. Similarly to canvamancy, those who
Was there
predict the
anything-
future through
was-
paintings.
Was there anything about getting your name back?
Oh, you need to trick the Fae into giving it back.
Trick them.
Well, that is what most of the fairy tales say.
Right.
Or something in exchange for it.
Tell me, are these the types of fantasy stories that are always end in a happy ending, or like the really depressing ones where everyone dies?
Well, there's been this popular serialization of these where, these authors will release short chapters in Hyven Times or other publications where they all end very happily, and it's all very tied up in a neat bow, but the real folklore from the old days, from the passing it down from generation to generation, those have the real endings, which are rarely happy.
Great.
Sorry, I just haven't gotten to do this much reading in a while. I'm very excited.
That's all right.
And I'm not a fan of the serialized stories.
What's the name
Drivel.
of the most popular story about stealing names?
I didn't particularly look into that, but there are many tales of names being stolen.
Which
There's-
one's your favorite?
Which one's my favorite? My favorite would be the story of Saskia. Now, there are many tales of the Winter Court and the Feywild, particularly stealing names. There's tales that are meant to warn families about protecting their children from wandering into the forests, where there are Fey incursions, where they might meet an entity that could barter with them at a young age, or give them grand ideas of some future. I believe, and he looks to Sigil, there's some scholarly research about this happening at the university. Particularly under Aoife Valentine, the dean. It's her special interest.
Really? That's not my accent. Really?
Well, I've only spent a week here at the university, but from what I know from coming in and out before this, she herself is actually what one would consider a hexblood. Someone who is of their nature is of the Fae as well. Their nature is particularly of an ancestry of hags and witches.
Sounds
I
like a very
thought
good
that the Academy frowned upon the warlocks and patrons of the like.
There's no particular policy against patronage. She herself is not patroned in some way. Her ancestry is mingled with Fae in some way. It is not. Well, I don't know. I don't know her business. She might have. I don't know. All of you might have patrons. I don't know all of your business.
But it is stealing, though. Well, it's considered stealing.
So
Even if-
this
even
is
if you might
where
have given it willingly.
this is where morality comes into questions of the Fae is often grey.
You're a poet.
Professional and a poet all in one day.
Hmm.
In the perspective of the Fae creatures, it is a consensual trade. You give your name up for whatever they've promised you. There are cases where they do trick you, and it is more like stealing, but in some others, it is an offering. Now, I won't say that they're the most respectable salesfolk. I believe they might be burying the lead, as they say, on these deals. Something might seem harmless, like giving your name to some entity, can then lead to whatever it is you're suffering at the hands of this patron.
I just wish I could fucking remember. Thank you. No, this has given me a lot to think about.
I've read that it's akin to when people find the ability to use magic for things like wishes, that the literal wording of your exchange is most important. Where, as the stories go, considering the weeds in all of our gardens, of the netherrock variety, sometimes your wording can cause unexpected outcomes.
Right.
So I don't know the nature of your deal, but you may have given up,
Right.
forfeited your memories. And then that could have led to your current situation, whatever the person you were before wanted out of this fey creature. They wanted it badly enough to give up everything. And that person is, my theory at least, is not you. They cease to exist. You are whatever you are now. I don't think these are. I'm not an expert on the Fae, but I don't know how these work and if there is anything left of what was before.
Right.
Although if this was in recent years, you might have a family somewhere who can fill you in.
Okay. That's a lot. Yeah. And I'll just kind of back up and just sit and play with my toy ship.
I'm sorry. So you're saying that because she lost her name, she lost who she is?
I'm saying it's a possibility. I'm saying that these Fae deals are always a little tricky, and the hag creature or water spirit or elemental creature, as part of this deal, took whatever you were before. I mean, it is also simply could just be the consequence of the deal. You are no longer capable of remembering any of who you were, and you are, in many ways, then someone new.
Yeah, but like, if I had a horse and I changed his name from, horse
Rocco.
to Rocco. Oh, that's a nice name. That's a nice name.
Yes, if you were the type of being who was able to completely reconstitute the memories of the horse and completely change everything about who it was, or delete who they were.
When
It's
I was
like
in
the Theseus boat thing, right?
Yes, I was gonna say when I was in university, there's this thought problem about a ship, and if you totally reconstruct a ship, but piecemeal over time, is it still? But I guess at this point, you're talking about taking that ship, destroying it, and then building a new ship. But if you use
Precisely.
the same pieces,
Well, this is where the conundrum gets, and this is also where the onomancers might say the name does hold everything, if it is some truth to it in its cosmic strings, whatever. It's everything always gets a little messy with magic, especially Fey magic.
Isn't that what the Onomancer said in Willowgrass? Is that the name holds everything?
yeah, but that guy said a lot of things. I don't know how much stock I'd put in him.
You know what? I'm just gonna ask her. I'm just gonna ask her. She'll tell me. She'll tell me what she said.
Haven't you tried that already?
I tried not specific wording. I didn't ask that specifically, so I'll try again. That's what
maybe you should be more assertive. Not saying that you yell at her, but
no.
prove to her.
I'm just looking for information. I just want to know.
Sure.
And I was probably young, I didn't know what I was doing, and then she's got to understand that, right? A little girl didn't know what she was doing. Have some.
I don't
sympathy.
think I'd put much stock in fey creatures and sympathy. Though remember, this is maybe. This is the creature that gives you all your powers, though. Might be best not to upset it, lest you risk losing, you know. And Jacquet kind of mimes, like, throwing out Eldritch Blasts and, like, turning invisible and stuff.
I believe that what makes you you is in your spirit. And
There's a
as long
hole in
as
my
you're
spirit,
alive,
Fern.
I can tell that you have a soul, a spirit that lives inside of you that is a person. I don't think that whatever is giving you your powers can take that away from you.
Well, she took something. Thank you. That's very nice. Nice of you to say.
I'm just saying.
I just want to know. There's a hole. I want to fill it. I don't like having a hole. It's like a hole in a ship.
That's
You know, it's
why. That's why they say you need to find a romantic partner to fill that hole, complete
really?
you. Yeah, isn't that what they say?
I've never heard that, but
Okay,
What?
let's stop talking about filling holes and, gods and all that. Jeez, it sounds like I'm back at one of my family dinners.
Yeah,
Anyways, Lucas, did you have anything else that you wanted to tell us? Any other information that we asked? I forget if that was everything.
I believe that was everything requested by the group together. I'll finish these
Sigil.
notes so you have them to reference.
That'd be perfect. Thank you, my friend. Sigil, was there anything that we had asked you about? I don't know, something about a mask or whatever. Did you ask him about that, Fear? And I forget.
I possibly might have mentioned it.
Fear, and you did independent research on the mask. That would be stuff that I'm just going
Oh.
to give you that you have learned, because
Yeah,
I did say
I
you
was-
learned one thing.
I was gonna say, I think I went to not Sigil, but the other person.
You
the
asked Lucas about.
naturalism.
When
we were talking, I said I went to either the temples area to study it, or I went to the person from the naturalism college that wanted to talk to me about the North. I have their name. I was
probably
talking about it
Brenna.
earlier. Yeah, it was Brenna Murdoch.
So I would say, since you had kind of middling success on your research rolls, but I did say you do learn one thing about it. So I'd say in either your independent research on it, or in your talking with Prinna, you would learn that there are temples like the one you described that are spread all over the Gosu haunt. That these are very old temples from the pre-Morasir time, in that the Gosu haunt has been beset with frigid temperatures, unnaturally frigid temperatures, for as long as people have resettled to Aldhalor. There have been attempts to resettle the Gosu haunt, but the hostile environment makes it very difficult. And that there are a lot of these temples up there that are completely like frozen over. And like whoever lived there, if they're even there anymore, are possibly also frozen over in there. And you learn that this mask matches up with descriptions of particular burial masks for particular clerics, monks, priests that used to inhabit these temples. There is not a lot of information, though, that you learn. Not that the information doesn't exist, but you don't learn much about anything other than that. That there are temples where these burial masks were known to be used by the monks / priests of those temples, and that they're typically frozen over entirely.
Would the monks / priests also be pre-Morasir?
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. Not much is known about that time, I know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, that's foreboding.
Yes.
So, Sigil, Any jobs on the market for a adventuring crew like ours?
I was waiting for you to ask. I do have at least one job available for you all, if you wish. I will say this job is not typical. One could say it's even not entirely legal.
Oh, now you have my attention.
Are you okay talking about this with Lucas here?
Oh, I don't think Lucas minds. A certain fellow here was stealing books from the library when he came to do bubbling for certain professors.
Still, I wouldn't want to get him involved if he doesn't need to be. Do you mind if I just take him outside?
I think he knows his way around, but if you wish to escort him, Lucas, if you're uncomfortable, you can go back to your research or finishing your notes for them. Lucas kind of
What do
like
you
looks.
say, Lucas?
Lucas looks so awkward as he's just like, sure, Fearn. Yes, I think I do need an escort to find my way back. Yes, I'll go outside with you. As he,
Come on, I'll take you to the shitter.
what? As he grabs up all his papers, I don't need to use.
Sure you don't.
Fearn and him step out.
That was odd.
It's Fjern, of course it's odd. Everything that man does is odd.
Well, that's what happens when you grow up in civilization.
What I will preface, what I thought he was going to mention is obviously you know that we work for Commodore as Ivan's adventuring group. Are you comfortable, I guess, asking for us something that may not be on the books?
Well, I suppose it depends.
I guess
upon-
I should preface saying that, like,
We're gonna turn you in, bud.
no.
If you don't wish to engage in things that would be most likely frowned upon by the Commodore, I understand. It's when I say it's not legal, it's not necessarily something that is against the laws and sanctions of the Commodore. More so, it can. There's an opportunity, a very, very small opportunity, or a small window for an opportunity that I had hoped that you might have interest in, for silver, of course. It is just
I've been
simple.
smuggling drugs into the.
No.
It is simply acquiring something for me that is very dangerous and is technically the property of the Avenarian Electrum Company.
Oh, okay. Trying to take down the big Halcyon Corporation, or however they define themselves.
The Avenarians are actually Aldhalor. They're from the Capital Lands. They're
Oh.
also well known for their expanding electricity company, as well as their where their original wealth came from, their food distribution. Your Avenarian Void Jams, your Chrono Wines, all of those, what people would say are arcane, modified foodstuffs. But they have recently expanded into the Avenarian Electrum Company, and that is where some of the electrical grids of our city come from. Well, one of them is, let's say, no longer participating or working well with their grid. And the standard response of the Avenarian Electrum Company to such a disruption is either complete subjugation of the subject or annihilation of the subject. In this case, a lightning elemental.
Oh,
Oh. But when you say not working well, it's just this one elemental is not letting itself be siphoned by this company.
It is rebelling against the siphoning, which causes outages and causes explosions and fires. And I understand the problematic nature of that, but I would prefer to see this elemental rehabilitated than destroyed or further subjugated.
And how would you go about real rehabilitation?
Well, in the same way that I've been working with your raccoons. With the School of Naturalism. This situation, though, I might take on personally. There will likely be other interested parties that view this window as an opportunity, which is why I'm offering the job to you as the most capable hands I know. So if it comes to me, the elemental will have the potential to be rehabilitated and relocated, perhaps, or it is further subjugated or killed by the Avenirians, or stolen by black marketers.
I just want to make sure I have this clear. You want us to capture this rogue lightning elemental and bring it to you?
Correct.
Okay. And I assume that's, not just an easy, hey, lightning elemental, come on down. I know a guy, he's going to help you out. It's not going to be that easy, right?
No. I mean, I suppose if any of you speak primordial and not particularly convincing, you could try talking to it. But
I speak primordial. I can speak to it.
Oh, well, she's not that convincing, so.
Excuse me, with practice, where is this job? I might have some time to practice, and I need where is it?
well, it's not far. It's right here in Hyben.
I take it it's being kept at the company's facilities.
Yes. It's highly protected and guarded. But there'll be an opportunity, a very brief opportunity, when they bring in their own specialists to look at the elemental, where there will be an easier time getting into the facility.
And when is this scheduled to happen?
It is scheduled to happen in about a week's time, on the 24th.
Now remind me, this electric company obviously powers the city of Hyven, but do they have branches throughout the other cities of Aldhalor?
Yes, particularly they're most well established in the capital lands.
Right. So it is a big company.
Oh
Very
yes, one of the largest in Aldhalor.
Has an asset like this ever been successfully taken?
Yes, there have been raids upon their facilities from less savory folk. There's some that say the attack on the spire, the storm spire, they utilized stolen subjects.
Jacquette looks over at Saskia.
And I look back.
Those who profit from violence have many uses for these subjugated elementals. They can cause a massive amount of destruction all at once. They can be manipulated in further ways. I just simply wish to see it not subjugated in this way.
I was leaning more to what has the response been from the companies. Surely they're not just taking that lying down.
There are some investigations. They have their own independent investigators. But they often will write it off as an expense, something that has happened to the company to, I don't know the business world well, but they do look for them, but they stop after a certain amount of time. I suppose they have a... something like this is more easily overlooked than something like the Storm Spire. I'm sure there are investigators working day and night on that situation. I've even heard that they've identified a ship that might be to blame.
Oh. What ship? I'm just curious. I'm getting all the information we might need for this job, which I really think we could do. I really think I can talk to this thing. I have an idea. I have a plan. I think I can do it.
From what I hear, there are private investigators from the capital lands looking into the ship who found a survivor. That's all I know.
Okay.
Well,
In his head, Shockwet just goes, "Oh, I hope it's Silgra Silvertooth. She was a nice orc lady. I think we could have had fun."
Hmm.
well, I think this is something that we all need to consider amongst ourselves. What would you say is the time frame of the company forcefully getting either
Well, it
the beast
depend.
to cooperate or end its life?
I suppose it'll depend upon their specialists' diagnosis. So I'd say you'd have some time. The 24th will be when the security is not as strong. But the investigator will likely need to spend time over the day or two to work with the elemental to study it.
And any idea
So-
who that person is? Or
That
know
I-
anything about them? Would be probably my guess at some sort of naturalist like yourself.
Most likely. I
From out
have.
of town?
I am looking into this. I was hoping that I'd be able to find out that it was someone within my peerage here, but knowing the Avenirians, it most likely would be one of their own. They pride themselves on their own academy within Avenir, where they tend to pull their specialists from. Avenir is a unique city amongst Alfdal. No ties to Commodore, though they are under the protection of the governor. They are their own city-state of sorts, and they are, if they are their own entity, a magocracy.
Hmm.
So their naturalists are firmly arcanists, as opposed to some of our naturalists who are simply naturalists, studying, interested in the world. They are almost exclusively wizards within the Avenirian Academy. And it is theorized they have heavy ties with Halcyon, given their mutual interest in the arcane.
So, okay. Kind of like this, I think this is a pretty easy one, gang. But if Saskia is able to convince this lightning elemental, we still need to transport it from there to here.
Why can't we just transport it in a gem?
Well, that
like we did
was my
before?
next question, is that would that be able to be facilitated easily?
Well, I believe Bruce, you, Theon, and Septimus had worked on containing an elemental to a gem before. I believe if you are able to go about this diplomatic method, the elemental might be more easily coaxed into the gem versus forcibly confined. But if forcible confinement is necessary, then Bruce, if you and Fian and Septimus would share with me the methods you used last time to capture the elemental, we can perhaps come up with a streamlined method.
I used a very specific tool. It's called a greatsword.
Remind me, what is today's date again?
It is the 17th.
17th.
It would. We have a week.
Okay.
Mhm.
A week for the security to be knocked down. So it's going to take a week for this inspector to come to Hyven
Correct.
Mhm.
and then proceed
then
to it. Okay,
we might have a day or two. It
Yeah.
sounds like
got it. Cool.
for
Yep.
this heist of sorts.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Heist of sorts, yes. So you have time to consider it. I will be able to reward you for this. Considering the danger involved and the nature of the job, I will be willing to pay extensively more than the past projects.
How much more are we talking here? Jacquet says, still lounging on the sofa. Like, leg up, lounging, like, how much are we
Point where
talking?
Fearn comes back in the room.
Yeah, as soon as he says, "How much are we talking?"
What did I miss here?
Upon successful delivery of the subject safely, I can award you each 1,250 silver.
Oh. This is of high interest to you. What's in it for you?
Bruce, give me a persuasion roll.
Okay. Oh! 9.
9. He looks to you, Bruce, and says, "Even from the beginning of knowing you, I've always demonstrated a unique interest in the elemental experience. So, some of this might be idealism within me, and other parts of it might be academic."
It makes sense. Are you going to provide us with the gem or the means to transport this elemental?
I can provide the gem.
Good, good. And when should we let you know by that we're taking this job? At least before the 24th?
I say at least before the 24th. I don't exactly have other interested, trusted parties to do things for me. So if you pass up on this, then it will go incomplete, and perhaps someone else might infiltrate the facility. But I understand if that is your choice.
Well, we'll sleep on it and try to get back to you promptly. It's a courtesy to you.
Of course. And I'll let you know if anything else comes in through the university, or other quests that are of your standard fare.
Yeah, if anything comes in that has to do with, I don't know, the Gosu haunt, maybe, you know. Jacquet says, giving a side eye to Fear, and we might have some interest heading up there, and, you know, 2 birds, 1 stone. I feel like I said that a lot yesterday, so I won't
Should
repeat
get that
myself too much.
tattooed. That seems to be your phrase recently.
Yeah, yeah. No
I like it.
offense, though.
There are almost always academics interested in the Gosu haunt, so there may be something I could find, especially for heroes of your renown now. there will be a lot of desires to have a fighting chance within the Gosu Haunt for an academic who otherwise would be prohibited from going, because they would most likely not survive.
From what you told me, it just seems to be cold.
It is. It's the sort of cold that kills you.
Oh,
And speaking of the hunt, any chance the name Alamaeus means anything to you?
I'm not familiar with that name.
Shot in the dark. It's okay.
Well, I will be here if you need anything. And if you need Lucas to do any further research for you, you can always pass that on to me and I can put him to work for you. He's an eager student.
That he is. Well, unless anyone has anything else, thank you so much, Sigil. You've been, as always. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
one more thing, Sigil. Who has I think I might have asked this before, but I forgot. Who has access to the teleportation circle here in the academy?
Well, there are several circles. Each of the colleges has their own.
Or should I speak
Access
to- Okay,
access
continue.
is arbitered by the deans of those particular colleges.
Understood. I
Mhm.
shall proceed with that information. Thank you.
It is
Do you have a
usually
teleportation circle?
well, these halls are quite endless, so I wouldn't be surprised if I stumbled upon one.
Sure,
What?
but that doesn't answer my question. Do you have one for the unseen archives? Sorry, nope, that's not it. Nope, don't correct me. I'll get it. The seamless archives. Excuse me.
Of course, I have a teleportation circle within these halls. Most teleportation circles are reserved for faculty on sabbatical.
Specifically on sabbatical?
It's the most common usage, it's not the exclusive usage.
What about, say, a well-renowned adventuring party that just wants to get around a little quicker?
I believe that might be misappropriation of university funds, but at the same time, if you're working for the university, and you are working for the Commodore, as you said, the Commodore, well, funds the university, I can see a clear way of getting yourself in.
That's true, that's true. And who funds you, Sigil?
Well, the library is partially funded by Umadori as well. And
Sure.
then it is also funded from each of the colleges themselves in some way. Now, if this task is completed for me, this would be a substantial increase in our mutual trust. And if I can trust you, then perhaps I can trust you with further access. Such as
And
the
maybe
teleportation circle I might stumble upon in these halls.
sounds good. And then maybe then we can finally start trusting you.
Oh,
I don't
He's provided quite a bit of information for us.
Oh, of course, of course.
I don't blame any of you if you were to still view me with some distrust. I believe it's a common experience in this city.
Well,
But-
trust is shown with actions, and just by the mere you mentioning of this plan to rob one of the electric companies of a
Whoa,
asset.
whoa, whoa! What was the whole point of me leaving?
I thought
At least you have trust in our confidence. Which I
Which is
can
fair.
assure you.
I I believe our mutual interests would, and history, would mean that this would be something we could share in confidence. Of course, if you say no, I will never say another word of it. That is the sort of trust you can find in my halls.
Well, if that's all, thank you again, Sigil. And please forward it. Thank you to Lucas as well. Appreciate the research that you guys did.
Magical forwarding
Of course.
with the message.
Well, if you need anything or you have your decision, I will await you here.
Thank you, Sigil.
Hello.
With that, we'll head out.
Okay. What would you like to do next?
So, if no one has anything else in the, I'll say in the library proper, once the party has left that area, Jacquette, I imagine at the front of the group, immediately turns around and goes, "I don't trust that son of a bitch as far as Fionn can throw him." Which actually,
Pretty
that no,
far.
that doesn't actually work that far. No, as far as Bruce could throw him,
That
I
makes
think
sense.
that makes more sense.
He seemed pretty straightforward after I talked to him the last time.
Should we talk to Dilvana about him? Like, she's got to have some dirt, maybe.
I've known Delvana for a while. I know she praises the man. Plus, on top of it, too, even though we go back, him being more in tune with the spirits, I'd be surprised if she was willing to turn any in for information that would.
Why are you just trustful,
against him.
Jacquette?
Just something about him. When we were speaking with Lucas, he wasn't interested in the subject. He wasn't interested in the monodrones. Of course, he already knew all that, which I still think he was lying about. But what he was more interested in was us. The questions we were asking. And don't you remember, Seth, when we were at the gala, we were speaking with that professor who said some rather unsightly things. Unsightly is a strong word. He seemed to insinuate that Sigil and Dolvana's work was under the table and that the Seamless Archive was not actually that well funded. So where exactly is Sigil getting all this silver? I mean, he's offering us a small fortune. That's nothing that we should cough at.
Also,
and for-
when I did speak to him about the Modron, he did seem a little cagey.
Right.
Speaking of Modron, do you think I could message it?
I don't see why not. Is my understanding the sending spell, even if, you're trying to reach a different plane, there's still a chance it goes through. I would know this whole story about the... I won't bore you with it. It's okay.
Alright, well,
Where are we having this conversation also about anyway?
Somewhere on the library or on the campus away from the library. And,
The
probably...
quad.
Yeah, on the quad somewhere.
How
where,
busy is the quad? Or do we look pretty
there's some
secluded?
college kids, throwing
Everyone's studying for midterms. Don't worry, Septimus.
on mute, Sean.
They're throwing frisbees in the quad.
Yeah.
No,
Aaron catches a frisbee, pops it on his, stabs it through his what do you call it, horn,
Ah,
and then
come
throws
on,
it back to
man.
them.
No, it is actually quite. Most people are studying, and anyone in the quad is keeping to themselves as opposed to there being a lot of crowds.
Septimus kind of leans in and lowers his voice a little bit. Says, "Listen, Sigil has shown to be somewhat trustworthy to us. However,
Or he's using us.
let me finish. I think we should be wary of picking up this job for now, especially with the fact that we know that there are several individuals that work in the university that are tied to Mr. Greaves. Now, I'm not saying that is Sigil, I'm not saying not, but I think we should at least wait to see if we hear from the Commodore to see if Sigil is on that list or not."
Sean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, sorry, that wasn't me raising my hand. Sean! So back in like session 0,
Mhm.
Ooh.
Bruce did take a look at one of the elementals in one of these power plants, I'll call it.
Mhm.
How could I get an assessment of how big that elemental was and how much power that elemental kind of
Yes.
contained?
Yes. Go ahead and give me an Arcana check or a Nature check.
I'm gonna do Arcana. I'm obviously gonna give myself a little bit of guidance,
Mhm.
What?
and I'm gonna use my brain for this one for a total of 27.
Nice.
So smart. So
Oh,
wise.
so-
Yes. That facility that you observed, this was during session 0 when you were just during that time that Bruce didn't know anybody other than Orin and was just wandering up and
Yeah.
down buying candy and spying on the real estate for Koboko. Before he made some friends.
Gross.
You did note that one facility, which was powered by a single lightning elemental, did power all of Main Street and Harborside. So one elemental powers a significant chunk, a significant sizable neighborhood within Hyven. You know that facility particularly was part of an Avenirian effort to spread the use of electricity. Essentially, their strategy was to give it away for free or with really low prices in order to make the city dependent upon it and then jack their prices up. Very Silicon Valley of them. But yes, it was one elemental powers a significant number of structures and grids.
So, I mean, that's a lot. So, like, the raccoons are kind of small, right? If you guys remember. And I would imagine if somebody knew what to do with that size elemental, I think they could. That'd be bad, actually. If that was contained in a gem and in the wrong hands, I think that could be pretty bad. Like I, for example, could probably make a significant bomb.
Do
That's...
you think Sigil's the wrong hands, Bruce?
I don't know. I just don't think power should be handed around to anyone that's suspect.
For
That
what it's
brings up
worth.
another-
Sorry, just for what it's worth, I really think I could talk to it and convince it to get in the gym.
I mean, if we want to even try to.
If we,
Didn't you
if we
say the
fire
same thing about the eyeless one?
me,
Yeah.
I don't remember honestly.
Pretty sure the whole eyeless situation was a little larger than any of us in the moment, and there was no talking to be done.
Okay, going back to what Bruce had mentioned, that sort of power, that sort of elemental, that raw strength. I think it maybe shows that maybe Sigil wasn't forthright of how big of an asset this is for the company. That's making me think that if we go ahead, let's say we do take this job, we do take it. What if the company does get upset and they want some sort of retribution? What is the situation where they talk to the Commodore and the Commodore is hiring us to solve the freaking people that stole?
We'd be investigating
this thing?
ourselves.
We'd be looking for ourselves. So I think this could get very hairy very quickly.
Oh no, that sounds a lot of fun.
Yeah,
We could
looking
find
for
someone
your...
to frame.
That seems really easy, actually. Like,
Why do you
super
want to trick the Commodore? The way I see it, that the Commodore and working for
Okay,
her is a steady stream of income that we can have. Sigil, on the other hand, sure, this is a big payout, but from what we know, Commodore it ranks above Sigil in this.
But do we know we can trust the Commodore?
No.
I guess
She's
who do we
using us as-
who do we
I'm-
trust?
Do we know...
If it's not the Commodore, if it's not Sigil, who the fuck do we trust?
It's not a
Ourselves?
matter of trust.
Ourselves.
I don't
Yes.
think you
Mr. Greaves.
Septimus.
When I say I don't trust the Commodore, I'm
Why
just
can't I-
saying I'm seeing somebody that will benefit us more in the long run.
I don't think that the Avenirians have anything to do with the Commodore. Didn't Sigil just tell us that they aren't under her purview?
Are you saying Sigil?
They're not directly under her purview, but if they have establishments over the Aldhalor Islands that they trip into the year of Sypogen, and Sypogen hears that this act happened in Hyven, who is he going to talk to get it resolved? The Commodore.
I'm just still not sure that it's in the Commodore's best interest to allow these people to,
What are you
live
talking
there.
about, Fjern? Their power grid brings power to Hyven. They are an asset to this city. Septimus's point is a good one, that if something goes wrong, they will probably speak with her about a crime committed in her city, and then who's gonna probably investigate that? Jacquet points to the group.
Well, who's protecting the elemental in all of this? I'm wondering.
Well, the company itself probably hires its own protection.
But
Hyven itself doesn't have an established guard.
But it doesn't seem like if the elemental is rebelling, it doesn't seem like it wants to be there.
I can
Right.
assure you
Right?
that none of the elementals want to be contained.
So then shouldn't we set it free?
Absolutely not. Why would we do that? Is a
Then-
senseless elemental and its powers being used better than it could in its natural form, roaming the lands?
Wait a minute, Septimus. I do not follow your logic here. You don't think the element should be contained, yet you don't think it should be out in the wild
I
where
never
it
said I don't
clearly
think it-
belongs. Isn't that what
I
you just
think-
said?
I said it shouldn't be contained.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought I heard, but maybe I've got
No,
some
I think he
That
said
doesn't
it doesn't want to be contained.
I'm saying that the elemental itself does not want to be contained.
Ah, right. And
It is a volatile being.
so we should put it where it wants to be. Right? Isn't that the right thing to do?
I would say so.
Starting
So
to
what happens-
sound
so what
like the
happens-
Aradunai.
I don't know. It just seems wrong for something that powerful to be forced to do something it doesn't want to do.
I have a question. In your scenario where the governor, we save this elemental from the this company and bring it back to Sigil, he's not going to keep it a secret. I'm sure that it's going to be difficult for him to rehabilitate it, but it's not something that he can. Once he gets control of it, do you think he can hide such a powerful being?
He's kind of insinuated that his library hides many, many secrets.
I'm also suggesting that if we don't trust Sigil, maybe we don't give it to him and we just talk to the elemental itself. See
But
what
then
it
we don't get a
wants.
payout.
But we would have done the right thing.
I
The
Get
right
money
thing-
somewhere
You-
else.
well, you are. This is not a moral right or wrong thing. Let's
But
say
it
we
sh-
do
it
is- in
should
your
be.
world. Let's say we release the elemental. You are going to completely ruin the power of this city, leaving thousands, maybe or hundreds, maybe thousands of people without light, without warmth. Is that good? Is that moral?
And also, the elemental probably will destroy a lot of things in its path too. If it's
Is it
not
moral
removed
that
properly.
those people are getting their light and their heat from exploiting?
Okay, let's not talk about morality, okay? We are an adventuring party and we do one thing. We work for silver, okay? If I'm not getting paid, I'm not involved. I want to make that very, very clear. So if you guys want to go on some
We're
crusade...
getting paid
and
by Sigil, is all I'm saying.
And I agree with that, and I'm happy to do that. But whatever this is, he says, kind of pointing towards Saskia, and this whole liberation front you've got going, I want no part of. Coin or nothing.
Yeah, I gotta say, I agree with what Saskia is saying, but I mean, I trust Sigil enough to, take proper care of the elementals. He's proven that he can do that much with the raccoons, so
What if
I don't think it couldn't hurt if we were to sell him this creature.
What if
Give
there's
it a better
win-win
life.
here? actually, and we can walk and talk as we do this, as we go to our next
Sure.
destination. What if we're so successful in talking to this lightning elemental, right? Where I don't know what the fuck's going on with me right now, but I'm feeling very confident that I can really talk. I feel like I can relate to it. I don't know. I have already ideas of what I would say to it, but let's say somehow we were able to get involved in a little trickery of our own. If we had two gems, and we ask the elemental to put a little bit of its power, some that it doesn't use, into a gem, maybe, and then we give that to Sigil and be like, look, we did it, but we actually free the real it sounds stupid.
I don't know what kind of gem he's going to give us, A. But B, I know it's going to be a really, really expensive one given the size of this elemental.
Yeah, and you're still on freeing the elemental, which I'm not for at all. If we do plan to do this job, I'm going to do it to the full. What Sigil asked.
To be helpful, the people there, the company, they're not keeping the elemental loose. I'm sure that it's already in some sort of crystal, being some sort of containment center that we might be able to snatch.
It's in a container.
I don't know. It doesn't sit right with me, but
is it a big container?
Is it?
Yes, it would be a big container. Yes, it'd be a very large container. It would be something that's meant to be a permanent holding versus a gem, which is a temporary holding typically.
How do you know all this, Sweet Bruce, huh?
I saw it. I literally saw it.
You saw it?
I walked by, yeah.
Where is it?
Me. It's there's one over and it's on Main Street. Is it on Main Street?
There is one in the back alleys of Main Street.
Well, we've got some days to think about it. I'm all for it.
I think we should go back to first getting the list, or maybe hearing back from the Commodore about potential people that are corrupted in the university.
Yes. Something I also...
Send us a letter of what you want to... oh, no, maybe not.
I don't have in my notes whether or not she was going to contact us, but I think it's safe to say if we stopped by and checked with Doyle, her perfect little assistant would have some more information for us. That being said, I have been thinking about it, and I wonder if she will even tell us the truth in her list, or maybe she just gives us a list of people she wants taken care of. Who knows with that fucking bitch. Anyways, let's go see what Doyle has.
I thought we were gonna go get a cart.
Well, we're up here. Might as well check to see what other jobs there are. And
I don't get a cart.
And then we can get a cart. I mean, we still haven't decided what exactly we want to do.
Right.
Okay. So you're gonna head on over to the Commodore's office. Okay. I think what we'll do real quick is take a short break before we go do that. So folks, we'll be back in a couple minutes.
Okay.
And to see the Commodore's office. See you all soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Welcome back, everybody, to Adrift in Aldhalor. Our party, Iron and Mana, have just received a potential job from Sigil, from the libraries at the Academy, to do some illegal shit, but in his words, for a good cause, or for the right thing to do. Shades of gray all around. And now the party...
How many?
Not 50.
49.
Exactly.
69.
He said the funny number. And now they're heading over.
Sorry, I was on mute.
Let's take it all. Let's take it all back now.
Don't even pull that shit. You never mute.
You leaned into the mic. We all saw you.
Maybe a dragon does attack.
An ancient white dragon and kills us all. No new characters.
Anyway, they are heading to the Commodore's office to see if they can get more information about the illegal operations within the academy, or to see if there's any new bounties that might be there for you all. So, you head in, and you can see as you enter the lobby of the main office that you see a familiar face talking to Doyle. You see a nice, well-dressed, in a black suit, dragonborn with his tail swinging behind him of green scales. So you see Kellen seemingly completing an argument with Doyle. Basically, just looking to him and saying, the last thing you catch before Kellen kind of turns to walk away and actually spots all of you is, there's really no comment from the Commodore's office on the recent activities by the docks. Doyle says, any comments from the Commodore's office can be requested formally, and we'll send them to your offices, Mr. Thibodeau. I have nothing for you right now. And please, I think I see some folk with real business. And Kellen does turn and sees you all. And as much as you can see a smirk on the long kind of crocodilian face of a dragonborn, he does sort of smirk as he sees you all. And he just looks to each of you, particularly eyeing you, Jackie.
I eye him back.
And then a staring contest begins. Roll a Constitution. No. But he does give you all a nod as he is walking past you, and would just say, not really necessarily trying to start a conversation, iron and mana, growing quite the reputation around this city.
Thank you. Say hi to Mr. Pappas for us.
Yes, I'm sure the advertisements you paid for are to blame.
Yeah, that's what's doing it in your shit paper, I'm sure.
Any day now, I'd love to hear if you found anything out about those murders.
Any day now, we'd probably tell someone worth talking to about it. If you'll excuse us.
Any day now.
Any day now.
There is a brief staring contest before he walks off.
Bitch.
Good afternoon, Doyle. We were hoping if we could talk for a minute. Well, either with the Commodore, or maybe we could just ask you. See, following our conversation yesterday, we were wondering. I guess we were just wondering if the Commodore had mentioned anything to you about some additional leads or some new contracts for us.
Well, she is still reviewing the list of names for security reasons, but it is looking quite favorably that you will see some information there. She does believe it is fitting your offices within our protocol to know some of this information, as it might be privy to future contracts for finding information. She's mainly reviewing it for severity of criminal activity. Some, it seems, academics might not even be fully aware that they are engaging in such unsavory behavior. They believe they're just following the loose code of Hyven before the governor's arrival, not really understanding the illegality of some of their smuggling. They believe they just simply know a guy whereas some of them, it seems, are quite heavily involved. So she's determining what is worth investigating, what is worth bringing someone in for a conversation, perhaps, a chat about their activity, versus someone who might need more careful and powerful hands, such as yours.
Very good. No, there's nothing to report, and that's just what we needed to know. See, we were contemplating whether leaving the city for a few days or not.
Well,
That
it
may have
is...
changed our plans if there was something in a more quick manner that may halt that.
Well, funny you should say that. There is a smaller contract available right now to agents of the Commodore. Outside of the city, it is particularly to track down an individual. Not a lengthy investigation. We have an address for them that we simply want someone of the agency to go and check on this person. See if they even are there. If they are there, perhaps a certain line of questioning. Where that questioning leads, potentially could lead to bringing them in for questioning from the Commodore. There's an individual who is supposedly in the outskirts of billow grass in the farmlands, somewhere near the crossroads. From last we heard, they were staying in those parts in a small cottage. They are potentially linked to the crimes of the Bone Rattler. And we were hoping to learn more information about their involvement.
Do you have a name, description of this individual?
We have a description. He, from our understanding, is a dragonborn. Blue of scale, quite large and powerful from the reports. And said to have potentially been a crew member of the Bone Rattler from our sources.
Fearn looks to, casually, not like he just heard something, that rang a bell or anything, but just like casually looks towards Saskia to make sure she's not letting on anything.
She's hyperventilating.
This individual is said to have sailed with the Bone Rattler at one point. We don't know if they had exact involvement in the incident, but since the Bone Rattler has not ported in Hyven for quite some time, and likely due to their crimes, are avoiding our port, any connection is a worthy connection to investigate. We do not want wanton pirates out there destroying storm spires, as you can imagine. And it is
who would want that?
And it could lead to a larger contract if it has more information. A larger contract to take down Bone Rattler's captain and bring their crew in. Which I don't know if that is exactly on par with your adventuring right now, but it would certainly be something that will be on the table.
Nothing we haven't done before.
Unless, of course, the Bone Rattler somehow has a change of heart and mutinies their captain and turns themselves in.
What the likelihood of that be?
Surprisingly, it can be quite high with pirates if they believe themselves to be mistreated or have greater opportunity. They're quite democratic, really, I find.
But you laugh at... Okay, whatever. Sure. This individual, Blue Dragonborn, do we have a name?
Mr. Turneroff.
Mr. Turn her off.
Turneroff.
Oh, sorry. That was just the name my brother used to call me.
Quite uncharacteristic of you, Septimus. Such low humor.
I can't help it. I got
He's really developing a lip.
This is the one place where 1985 Games has misled me with the naming of this NPC card. It is Turneroff.
They knew what they were doing.
They may have known what they were doing.
And the reward for this individual?
This isn't similar to Winifred's situation where we don't know the full value of this individual. So information will garner you a standard 1,500 silver pieces for good information. If they are connected to the crime and you bring them in, we can most likely bring you somewhere around 750 silver more for this individual being brought in. If they're not connected and the information is moot, we will still give you a reward for your services, even though something has not been brought in, reduced to 750 silver for no information, just for your labor.
How far was Billowgrass again?
So Billowgrass is about 5 days away, but this is the crossroads that is a little closer than Billowgrass.
Would we assume that's the Badger and Coyote or something?
Yeah,
like
you would
that?
assume it was in the same tiny hamlet, even tinier hamlet that place was within.
Gotcha.
In the blue dragon board that you described was
No, go ahead.
no. Is that the blue dragon board that we came across?
Where?
I don't think you've met him.
No, 3 of us have met him before.
Oh, okay.
You haven't.
I'm thinking. No. Oh, it's a him. Then never mind. I'm thinking of the female dragonborn that we fought in Billowgrass.
Yes. No. No, it's
different.
It's different. Maybe they're related.
Okay.
No, that
Small
was
world.
he was like she had
Killed?
wings and she's also you left
We
her
just
alive.
left her. We
We
just
have
left her with
yeah.
Billowgrass people. She's like, you just do whatever
Yeah.
the hell you want.
All
with them."
right. I
Yeah.
assumed killed.
Okay. Well, if he
Public
said he
executions
too, then I guess Septimus wouldn't put that together or speculate that. So okay.
Well, say we go and handle this on our way to our other our other path. Would sending the information down via magic constitute a completion of the mission, as long as we don't have to bring anybody back into town?
If you have the means to send it magically, we can accept that if it's a reasonable amount of information to fit into your typical sending spell. 25 words.
And maybe post if it's too much.
A heads up. Send us a sending message with a heads up of what information you found so we can prepare for the next contract or prepare to be receiving a criminal.
And would this be going to you, Doran, or perhaps
Doyle.
Doyle?
Yes,
Perhaps
we can
Doyle
contact
would want it.
Doyle. There's no reason to bother the Commodore.
I do insist that you send the message directly to me. There's a likelihood that if you send it to the Commodore, it will not reach her.
Very well.
Well, I have the paperwork all set if you wish to sign on to this contract.
And,
I think we should talk about it first.
What is the timeline for this?
This one we'd like to be done as soon as possible so that the individual does not get sort of a scent for anyone trailing him. If he is in fact involved in this, he's probably trying to keep a low profile. So,
A brief sidebar, perhaps? I kind of just gather everybody into a huddle.
No, yes, I. This is probably good to discuss what we do next. And since we have so many options and so many strong feelings
Septimus, shut
on
up!
what we do,
Septimus, stop! And looking at Saskia, Jacques goes, spill.
where are you guys
can't
talking
take
about
this
this?
In a
I
huddle.
imagine we're huddled in a
In a
corner
huddle.
somewhere, far enough away and
Yeah.
using whispers, except for when Jacques just yelled at Septimus to shut up.
Yep.
Using whispers.
We can't take this job. We can't take it because
Yes, we can.
No,
Are
we
you kidding
fucking-
me?
no, we can't fear.
We
no,
better take
no,
this job.
Why? No, we can't take this job because they're gonna fucking find out.
We're
that
taking
you're-
this job for
you're-
sure.
Shut up. Listen to me. I know this guy. I
So
was
do
on the
I.
crew with him. You barely know him. I was on the crew with him. If he gets fucking connected to the Bone Rattler, then so do I. He's gonna fucking rat me out. We can't take this job.
Well, I mean,
It's a terrible
he-
idea.
Potentially a previous member, right?
Did you?
This-
Yeah.
This
You
guy.
were one, a previous member, and two,
Y'all,
on top
all
it,
of you
you-
keep saying a previous member. That doesn't stop people from being. She used to be on the Bone Rattle, so she knows how it all works.
Yeah,
It's
I
not-
mean,
no.
technically, these two are responsible for the spire going down. So
Yeah, yeah.
they're
we
kind
can't-
of
we can't-
fucked.
Yeah, exactly.
I was
cannot
not
take this job.
responsible. This
You
summer.
were
We're there.
fucking there,
That's
Fear.
what.
You were part of it.
I was not there. I mean, I wasn't there. I was.
You were.
I was
You were
observing
there.
what happened. I didn't participate.
You fucking charged the thing that set the spire. No,
Okay.
I
you were
didn't
fucking
charge anything.
Regardless of faults, I'd agree with Saskia on this one. I think it's best if we pass this along. Also, it's really not worth a lot of silver to go all the way up to the crossroads. I mean, what? That's 3 days there, 3 days back. That place sucked. Like, just the worst. So,
Or I mean, oh, do you
I
think it is
we
better
should
to?
take it.
Do you think it's better to just get ahead of it and
and we kill him.
No,
Ooh, I like that.
no, that's not what I was saying. Absolutely
I was
not.
just kidding. I don't think we
no,
can
you
do that.
no, you weren't. And yes, we could, but this it.
No, you're
There's so many morally gray things happening today. It's making my brain hurt.
Well, what if he
Fuck
knows
it.
more
Can't.
information? Maybe he didn't do anything, and we could just go in and be like, "Hey, he
He
didn't do
dropped
anything."
no, Bruce. He fucking dropped us off at the location. He was there. He knows
How about-
exactly what was going on.
Right,
How
right,
about
but we don't have to
this?
tell that to the Commodore, right? Or Doyle. We could just go there, be like, "Yeah, he doesn't know anything," but then we can learn something from him, right?
Do our own investigation.
Exactly. Thank you.
But then he knows that the Commodore's looking into
Yeah.
it, and he could fucking rat us out.
No, okay.
Ugh.
Saskia, calm down for a second. Bruce, I like where your
Fucking
head's
tell
at.
me to calm down.
Saskia, calm down. Bruce, I like where your head's at. Saskia, calm down. Okay.
Shut the fuck up.
You should listen to Quest, Saskia. You just heard from Doyle that they're looking to put blame on the captain themselves of the Bone Rattler, not the entirety of the crew.
But what part are you not understanding?
Okay,
We were there.
shut
We
the
were
fuck.
fucking there.
Okay, Saskia, stop. And at this, Jacques is looking around to see who has taken an interest in us and if we need to move this conversation outside.
Yeah, give me a perception check.
14.
Okay. I mean, Doyle obviously is not like
Yeah.
ignoring you. Like he is just sort of like normally just like sort of patiently like looking at his nails. He's just like, oh, was everything okay over there? There's some
Just fine.
there's some whisper shouting going on. Is everything okay? And other than that though, there's no one else paying attention.
Returning to the group. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. Bruce raises a good point. We could still complete this contract and get it over with. We'll get the smallest amount, but if we tell them that he was part of the Bone Rattler crew, but is no longer complicit, and maybe we take whatever information he has, there's a reason he's in Billowgrass and not still on the ship, right?
There
Right.
is a
Saskia,
reason.
I want you to acknowledge this point.
Yes, that's a fair.
Okay,
point.
so that assumes that in this democratic space that is a pirate crew, he elected to fuck off. Meaning
He
he's
was
not
kicked
connected.
out.
Regardless, he does not share a kinship with the Bone Rattler crew anymore. So he has no love for them in his heart. So he won't report back to them, and he'll be happy to spill information. So we get information and we cut him a deal. We don't turn him in, and he doesn't say anything about yours or Fearon's connection with the Bone Rattler. Make sense?
It does, but people lie.
Yeah, I know. We're literally lying. But we have to bet our lie against his. I think in the end, he gets in a little more shit than we do. Because now you have a whole list of things you've done to correct your mistake in the past.
I do.
Yeah, Winifred, Billowgrass, the fucking Stony Heath. We've done a few things for Hyven in the surrounding area that I think will put us in good faith. The work for the academy.
I suppose that's true. I'm gonna need to work on my poker face then.
And hey, maybe you can finally get some of the information you've been looking for. Not about your name and everything, but, you know, the Bone Rattler and what happened there. That was your voice.
Okay.
Well, so that's an option, right? So that's gonna, if we take this job, we won't be able to do the other job. That's for sure.
Why not?
Well, it takes a long time to get there, right?
3
And
days
back.
to the crossroads, 3 days back. 6 days, we can
6
still
days.
pump out the heist.
All right.
When is the heist?
That adds up.
I know it does.
I mean, if we do travel to the crossroads, my estate is on the way. Of course, I'd like to stop there.
Right.
This might not be
Is
the
this
right
wait?
time.
Is this 3 days? Sorry, I'm just trying to remember here. Was it 3 days by horse?
Yes.
Or by
By
walking?
cart.
It was 3 days by cart.
Okay. All right.
Look, I don't much care about this. It's small potatoes. If we want to just go to Septimus's homestead and faff about there, that's good too.
I mean, we also don't all have to stay there. Some of us can go to Septimus's abode, travel there, and then some of you guys go off to find this guy while Septimus and I work on his arm. You guys come back, hopefully have information, and then we all go back together. How's that?
Sure, not a bad idea.
I want to speak to the old dragon before the powers that be took over the Bone Rattler. He was the man to talk to. Hastings was he didn't have much presence on the boat. It seemed like he was the leader, and I think that even if he's not part of the crew anymore, as you infer, he will have information for us. Stuff that
Yep.
we can use against them, for sure.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. So that sounds good then.
Yeah,
I
Sass, that would
also-
line up quite well with what you remember of him. He was the bosun while you were on the ship, so he did a lot of the day-to-day in the ship. Knew everybody. Was one of the few people who got to talk directly to Hastings.
We may also might want to consider skipping the second mission and just heading straight north. I suppose I still need to do some research in the temple district about this mask, but it clearly wants me to head to the Gosu haunt. And although I appreciate, you reaching out to Sigil about possible work that we can get up there, I don't know if I want to tarry as much.
Yeah, and remember that whole speech I gave like a little bit ago about how I don't do anything unless there's silver involved?
Well, you
My-
said yourself that there might
That's-
be riches and,
Yeah, in 2 birds and 1 stone. My tattoo.
Right, so if we go up there, I'll make sure you get paid.
I'll hold you to it then.
Is that all right with everyone else, or would you prefer heading back to Hyven after? To be honest, I don't know what we're gonna find up there. I don't even know if I want to follow what this mask wants, but it's our only chance to getting this thing off. Or at
So,
least
if we're gonna go up there, it kind of was scary to hear that it's very harsh up there to the point where settling is hard, and livable conditions require unlivable conditions require proper equipment. I don't think we're properly equipped to handle that right now. We need serious gear. I came from a warm climate, okay?
Yeah,
Fair enough.
actually, that's a pretty good point.
Also,
Let's.
yeah, don't you
Maybe
need
we
to, like,
can talk
recharge?
to Doran about it. Maybe
I
he
think
can
we
give
should.
us the cards.
I think we
Doyle.
should. Yeah, I mean,
For
like,
that, I could even go to the Temple District and see what I can do about the mask here.
I think we could handle find out all the information you need to, obviously. But if we're given a task, like Jacquette said, 2 birds, 1 stone, if we're given equipment for that task in the first place, I think that would be the way to go in this situation.
So, what you're saying is we should wait till we get a second job from the academy before heading north?
That's kind of my thought, yeah.
If that's the case, then do we take both jobs?
What
Because,
job?
well, the job to head to Billograss and the job for the electric company.
Well, to steal the elemental would not lead us north. That's here in Hyven.
Right. So if we're waiting on a job to go north, and we need to prepare for the job to get north, we need money for that, right? We must take some other jobs in order to, fund our adventure. I think that's what Sweet Bruce is getting at here.
I think we've made a good enough money where we can prepare to go on an adventure north. I think his thing was, if there was another reason to go north, that would make the trip a little more worthwhile.
Right. That's all I was kind of saying. We don't necessarily need to take the electric company mission.
Well, how about
Actually,
how about we do this? You go back to the academy, see what you can scrounge up from the other people there that are more interested in the Gosu Hot than Sigil, and I'll go to the Temple District and see what I can do about the mask. Maybe learn some more.
as for rest of the day tasks, sure, I could go do that.
Does that work with everyone?
The region that Clayton's talking about to go visit, like how far north is that's like far north, right?
Yeah.
It's very far north.
It would take
It'd
us
be-
out of Hyven for a while.
It'll take you out of Hyven for the while. It also is something that would probably be faster to take a ship.
Take a ship.
Similar to Stony Heath, it would definitely be faster to take a ship to the north because there's very arduous mountains that you would need to cross. At some point there'll be a nice, lovely rail station that'll take you closer, much faster.
Beautiful.
But that's still many months away. So ship is your best bet. If you were to literally travel on foot or by horse, you'd be like climbing a mountain to get over to it. So ship is certainly the better means to get close enough to it and then go to where you can talk to the guy who found the mask.
Yeah. So how about this? Are we all in agreement that we should take this job and then do exactly like Jacquette said? Get information, not necessarily turn them in. Septimus and I gotta go do our thing with Septimus's arm. You guys come back. We assess. We don't necessarily take the electric company job, and we can kind of cross that bridge when we meet back at Septimus's house.
Sounds agreeable to me.
That's my vote.
Okay.
In the meantime, for today, sure, I can go find out information about any jobs up in the Gosu. Oh my god, I almost said Ruination. Haunt. I'll go
Much
talk to
longer
Dean
journey.
Bronin. Dr. Dean Bronin about getting access to the teleportation circle, and somebody else go get, I don't know, horses, cart. Just tell me how much I owe them.
Yeah, speak
I'll
to
take
Trina
care of-
Mordock. I think she might have an interest in heading north.
Who?
Trina Mordock from the Naturalism
Yeah.
College. She seemed interested in me, and
She's actually from the Ag and Working Animals School.
okay.
She's trying to. She was
Oh,
really.
right. Naturalism is the magic and medicine one, right?
Yeah, and she's really working hard to prevent the Naturalist School from stealing the Druidic Studies program.
Right. I was actually considering going to her before I thought of the temple area to see if she could cast like some remove curse stuff or whatever. Maybe we could combine the 2 trips into one.
Certainly, you can spend part of the rest of the day figuring those things out, but it seems like you'll want to make your choice to leave pretty soon to keep your timetable in check to be able to still be open to doing the elemental job for Sigil. Of course, you don't have to. You might find that you don't feel like doing it anymore once you're out of the city for a little bit. But I think with sort of that plan laid out a little bit, I think this is a good place to end for today, where we can hatch the plan a little bit more and come to it next week. As I'll say, you kind of reach, at least I'll say you guys, while you were walking and talking, have arrived at the Cask and Crow, and it's about midday.
Wait,
so
did we take the job?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it would be very easy to just. That's right. I forgot you were still in the. You weren't walking and talking. You were huddling. Yes, we can say you signed the contract for the job, as the last thing you do for today.
Thanks, Big D.
Oh yes, of course. Hope you enjoy the countryside. And you can head back to the Cask and Crow to hash out the rest of your day. But that is where we'll end for tonight. We'll jump in next week with the trip out of the city towards, at least towards Septimus's place, get that arm fixed, and maybe some information, and then decide what your next move is. All right, folks. Well, thank you, everyone for joining us, whether it's on Twitch or YouTube. Hope you enjoyed it. We are going to send a raid on over to Just the Human, and hope you join us again in Paradise. That is not how you raid. Oh, it is. All right.
You too. Bye, Alex.
Bye.
See y'all soon.